The Resident Evil 4 Remake is kicking off Phant's fantastical year of Phast for the month of April. The game just came out last month, and both strategies and routes are changing every day as the speedrunning community makes new discoveries to bust the game wide open. There is a speedster achievement to complete the game in under 8 hours, but that is child's play compared to what I'm going to do to this game. I'm giving myself 3 weeks to plan my own routes and beat the game in under 2 hours and 15 minutes. This is the Resident Evil 4 Remake Standard any percent speedrun. Resident Evil 4 combines inventory management, a weapon upgrade system, and a treasure system to get funds to buy the necessary weapons I will need throughout the run. Most routing choices in this run involve asking the same 4 questions. Which enemies can I run past, and how? What weapons am I going to need at this point in the run? How am I going to pay for them? And where am I going to put them? Almost all the decisions come down to a treasure route to pick up the minimum necessary treasures to afford the items needed at the right time. A specific amount of gems of varying colors are routed in to maximize the value of larger treasures where the gems are placed inside. After some rudimentary notes were taken, I did a benchmark run through all 16 chapters as a starting point to improve upon and get a better understanding for the feel of the game.
Hell yeah. Off we go!
Right out of the gate, in Chapter 1, the first thing I must do is dodge this forced encounter with a very fast Ganado, a new enemy type added to the remake. I'm kind of winging it here, but it is definitely something I'll need to work on in the near future. The first big area comes up soon after, the Village Brawl, or whatever you call this section. Before entering, I grab a flashbang, handgun ammo, and a red herb just before the doors to the village. There are 2 ways to cause the bell to ring ending the segment: waiting out a timer, or killing any 15 Ganados. Killing 15 is significantly faster, but there is a lot of RNG for enemy movements and placement that must be dealt with effectively to take them out consistently.
There you go. Next. Kidding me.
That was pretty good.
In one of the sheds on the way to the next area, I grab a red ruby, which is one of the gems to combine into treasures later. I also grab a yellow herb following it in the farm area. The only other real problem to deal with after this point in Chapter 1 is avoiding bear traps and explosives, which I have varying success with, but will improve with time once I have their positions memorized.
No!
Chapter 2 starts with a segment where Leon's gear is taken away. The first box here contains a 100% guaranteed green herb. I also grab a sapphire from the furnace along the way. The green herb isn't used for healing, instead it is combined with the red and yellow herbs I picked up earlier to sell to the merchant for 10,000, giving me just enough money to afford to buy the rifle and scope at this point. It is critical to buy the rifle here because this is where the merchant gives you the scope for free, reducing the overall needed amount of cash. The valley section in Chapter 2 is another tough spot, highly reliant on Ganado RNG. I grab another ruby here before opening the escape doors. Fingers crossed that I don't get completely hecked by the chasing Ganados before the door opens. Another yellow herb is grabbed to sell later. Chapter 2 is finished at Mendez's house, which contains 2 puzzles. Puzzles in Resident Evil 4 are fixed for a given difficulty, so once done once, I can write down the solution and inputs to get to that solution without having to think too hard about it or running around and getting hints. Chapter 3 is also a pretty straightforward section that simply involves running past enemies to get to the next objective. One important thing here is the autosave function. At certain points in the game, it is optimal to reload an autosave to reset enemy AI and positions, clearing a returning path. A reload after grabbing the fuel can for the boat makes it super easy to backtrack through the fish farm to escape with almost no issue. If I don't do the reload, then a whole bunch of enemies will get in the way right at the door at the exit of the shed. The game is timed based on game time, not real time, so during load screens, the timer is paused. The end of Chapter 3 contains the first boss battle, Del Lago. Unlike other bosses, Del Lago can only be taken out with special harpoons that come on the boat. If enough harpoons can be thrown accurately, Del Lago can be defeated in a single cycle, bypassing the health regeneration between cycles. I attribute this purely to luck, but I managed to one-cycle Del Lago on my first ever run.
Oh my god!
This isn't as easy as it
We got the
sounds.
one cycle.
Chapter 4 starts off at the boathouse, where I have to go through the introduction of the Plagas enemy type, or as I call them, the Wiggly Boys. A key is obtained to open up a chest for a treasure later, and then 2 statue heads must be obtained from 2 puzzles. The solutions are the same every time, and in this area, the only real problem is the caves. A save and reload helps me finish it off and grab a yellow herb and velvet blue before exiting. Another head is obtained across the lake, and I make a stop at the chicken island to grab a golden egg. I'm not actually selling this, it's going to be used later in the run. Don't worry, you'll see. Selling the treasures I've obtained so far and combining gems with the treasure I got from the merchant is enough to upgrade my rifle power and ammo capacity. This specific set of upgrades is super important for the next boss, El Gigante. Shotgunning his face 4 times, and then 9 rifle shots on the Plagas that comes out ends the fight.
You got worms too?
I'm gonna reload.
If I could actually aim, that is. Chapter 4 ends in the church with another brief puzzle and rescuing Ashley. Ashley can be a real pain to deal with.
Ashley! Ashley!
Instead of taking her along, I decide to just leave her in the church at the start of Chapter 5 using the first out-of-bounds glitch. Leon's position when scoped in with the rifle and looking down gets very wonky and places him where he shouldn't be. Going into photo mode makes it a little more obvious what's going on here, as you can see Leon's legs clipping into the wall. When exiting the scope, the game will quickly push Leon back into playable area, but if a canned animation is started while still pushed partly out of bounds, weird things will happen. This one here causes Leon to jump between floors without going around, allowing a quick exit. The only other thing in Chapter 5 is the cabin fight. Like the village brawl, progression in the cabin fight is based on a kill counter. Ganados at certain kill thresholds drop boards to be used on the windows. Once all 3 windows are boarded up, upon heading upstairs, a cutscene will play, and after the cutscene, 5 more Ganados must be slain to cause the bullman to enter, and once he is down, the fight ends along with the chapter. This took me several attempts and is not easy to do fast. Practice is definitely needed.
Okay, we're out.
I was initially nervous about Chapter 6 coming in fresh to the speedrun. There are 2 difficult segments, the Chainsaw Sisters fight and Mendez, both of which I had a difficult time with in my casual playthrough. I was elated to learn that I could do some fancy maneuvers to significantly simplify the process. Before the Chainsaw Sisters fight, there is a locked door that triggers an autosave when getting close to it. This is incredibly convenient because inching toward the autosave trigger, while scoped in with the rifle, triggers the autosave while Leon is pushed into a wall. And, upon reloading, I am somewhere I definitely should not be. The difficult part now is navigating to the exit while out of bounds. Only the parts close to the actual playable area have collisions, so I need to stay close so I don't fall into the void or run back in bounds. A similar trick can be done utilizing the merchant to place Leon out of bounds before the Mendez fight and completely bypass the fight. One last emerald is grabbed on the way out and into the next chapter, the infamous Chapter 7. I consider the castle area of the game to be the most difficult part of the run, and Chapter 7 the most difficult segment even with the skips found. At the start of the chapter, I sell the rifle and upgrade it to the semi-automatic Stingray. I also pick up the broken butterfly for the tougher enemies in future chapters. The starting catapult section is brutal. Although I can activate the cannon early by shooting through a window, getting to the cannon itself is no easy task, as not only do I need to dodge all the catapults and enemies, but I also have to keep Ashley safe the whole time. Words cannot express how much of a cluster this is, so I think it is best to understand visually.
Shit! All right.
Catapults.
Ashley!
How is this done?
A checkpoint is obtained after painfully maneuvering the cannon ever so slowly towards the door. Battered and scarred, I enter the next area with no shotgun ammo and no healing available. This next section involves a short enemy fight and then one of the most important glitches in the entire game, the door skip. The tried and true scoping and aiming down is used once again to position Leon out of bounds, but this time I need to do a quick 180-degree turn upon unscoping and then interact with the door. If done correctly, Leon will snap to the other side. It took me a long time to get this in this run, but it still saves a lot over doing the entire basement section and going through the Garrador segment. The chapter is still not over, because the water room still needs to be conquered. Another complete onslaught of enemies to get past while spinning wheels to activate platforms, all while keeping Ashley from getting captured. The first wheel is pretty easy with a flashbang to stun enemies and get up to the second level, but this part here is literal hell. There is no checkpoint until after the second wheel as well. Oh, and while this is happening, you have to dodge a rain of crossbows locked on your position. The second half also requires some finesse. Ashley needs to raise 2 platforms while you protect her. If at any point during the raising of the platform she gets scared or captured, you have to start over with raising that specific platform, costing a ridiculous amount of time. So the obvious goal is to make sure she doesn't get interrupted. It was finally done, and onwards to Chapter 8. Chapter 8 has the brand new Castle Ramparts section, where a series of gates need to be opened by shooting some counterweights. A lot of this can be skipped not via out of bounds, but some clever angles. The first gate can be opened from the wrong side with a carefully placed pistol shot, though I accidentally opened this up a different way by kicking the cultist in a specific way to destroy the counterweight on the other side of the wall.
Wait, what?
This is slower than shooting the thing like I was supposed to, but I still don't know where I'm aiming, so I guess I'll take it. Across the way is a similar gate that can be opened with a grenade thrown through the gate to lower it. I forgot to pull a switch to open up the final gate at the start of this segment, but I got through eventually, ending the chapter. Chapter 9 sees the return of Ashley, and it's another doozy. The maze is littered with nothing but awfulness, not because of my inability to take out the worm dogs, but because of dealing with Ashley. Are you seeing a trend here? An elegant chessboard is grabbed in the maze, and 3 flags are lowered and onwards to the next spot. An Alexandrite gem is collected in the next room, followed by 3 mini challenges to unlock the next door. The first room, the dining room, is just a puzzle, so no worries here. In the second room, there is an incredibly annoying onslaught of enemies and a cult leader to deal with. However, a well-placed grenade stuns the enemies before the bridge lowering cutscene can take place, skipping most of the pain points here. The last section involves taking out 7 armor knights in sequence. For the set of 3 at the end, I use a flash grenade once the helmets are off and the rest falls quickly. The last segment of Chapter 9 is the solo Ashley segment. There actually isn't much going on here since I already know the time to set the clock to. The only real hurdle is the room where I have to ring 4 bells, but done in a specific order back to front ensures I won't have to deal with any knights. Chapter 10 is another spicy chapter. At the start, I clip into the ballroom through the door. It doesn't save much time, but it does delay the activation of the Novistadors, allowing for an easier run through the area. The next segment involves taking out 2 Garradors at once. This is where the broken butterfly comes into play, as 2 shots from the Magnum each takes them down. The main issue here are the random enemies that spawn. I'm kind of winging it here to figure out how to get the shot on the back with not so great success, but after several deaths, I finally take them out and move on to the depths. There is a skip here I remember seeing, but I don't know how to pull it off yet, so I have to take the painfully slow route through the Novistadors. At the end of the depths lies the crown, the most important treasure in the game, and the reason I have been collecting most of these gems. When combined with 5 different colored gems, 4 of which I already have, and the 5th one is right in the tunnel ahead, the crown is worth a whopping 100,000. I used the money to purchase a rocket launcher and the body armor here. The chapter ends with a fight against Vertigo, which is where the rocket launcher comes into play. The start of Chapter 11 involves yet another Chainsaw Ganados segment. I need to get some dynamite to blow up the path forward here. It's slow, but not too scary, and I can just run through it pretty easily. The double El Gigante fight next is a real problem, though. The naked one is straightforward, but still difficult to get a dunk in the lava, and the armored one can only be taken out after a lengthy wait-out period, hoping that Luis shows up to attach the dynamite in time. If only I had a rocket launcher to use on them. Unfortunately, it has to be used on Vertigo in the previous chapter, so I can't buy one here. The next section is on rails, quite literally in fact, with no real way to speed it up other than just doing the segment. A bit of a nice break in the run. The chapter concludes with one more boss fight, the knife battle against Krauser, Leon's rival who does his best cosplay of Revolver Ocelot from Metal Gear Solid 3. Kicks deal a significant amount of damage, so it is important to do those to end the fight as quickly as possible. Chapter 12 is the end of the castle. It only features 2 segments, the clock tower and the fight against Salazar. I got lost at the top of the clock tower trying to find a treasure, and blew through most of my ammo before the elevator. Taking out the cult leader at the start is critical, and after that, it's knowing when and where the cultists are going to jump from to prevent the elevator from slowing down. It took several tries before I was able to get up to the top. Just easy time savings for later. The final boss fight of the castle is Salazar. Remember that golden egg I got earlier? Well, that egg, if thrown at Salazar, will instantly stun him and bring him to the ground if you can land it.
What?
Okay, let's try that again. Okay, one more time. There we go, perfect. After that, the broken butterfly finishes the job, and it is off to the island. Chapter 13 is largely played straight with one exception. Just before the big auto-kill turrets by the double doors, a bullman will come out to play, all greased up and ready to go. You can actually bait him to walk into the line of fire on the turrets and quickly squeeze by while he acts as a sort of meat shield for you. It is important to let the whole cutscene play because if you skip it, he ends up in a different position and won't do this behavior. Almost everything else in this chapter can just be run past. The goal here is to grab a keycard and upgrade it to level 3, then rescue Ashley. Regenerators spawn once the keycard has been obtained, but once I know where to go, it's easy to just run past them. I grab a gold bar worth 20,000 after the first keycard, and then run through the rest. Not too much to optimize here. In the freezer room, I can use the scope rifle once again to get out of range of the Regenerator, so that's nice.
Taking so long.
The last section of Chapter 13 involves getting a wrench that lies inside a Regenerator. The location is random amongst the 4 in the tanks, so the biosensor scope is required so you don't kill all 4. With the level 3 keycard in hand, Ashley is back, though not for long. Chapter 14 normally has this very lengthy segment, introducing the Iron Maidens, a whole adventure through the garbage chute, and a climactic battle with Ashley using a wrecking ball to open the door. We don't need a wrecking ball to break through this, just our good friends, the rifle and the scope. Conveniently, there is a one-way door right at the start of the chapter that goes past the wrecking ball. If only there was a way to get past it.
Oh my god.
Let's find another way.
There's another boss battle with Revolver Ocelot. Krauser. I buy another rocket launcher for the final phase, and the Killer 7 for the intermediate phases here. Seriously though, Krauser and Ocelot might as well be the same person.
Finally, just the 2 of us. It's been a long time since I had such a good fight. Let's get started. How did you like that? You were lucky. We'll meet again. You're pretty good. I'm about to show you some of its nicer features. What?
The last chapter of note is next. Almost there. Our good friend Mike in the helicopter needs us to take out the anti-air gun, a feat accomplished with the use of grenades from down below. I only had 3 regular grenades, and it turns out you need heavy grenades to deal enough damage here. The time loss was catastrophic. Uh-oh. As I struggled to do this section the intended way as quickly as possible. The final segment to open the door is brutal and demoralizing. I have to activate 2 switches and escape through dozens of enemies in narrow corridors. A strategy I came up with uses 2 flashes to clear the way, but this was just death after death after death. This clearly wasn't going to work to lower my time. And then the last 2 doors in the final Regenerator room. As long as you don't hit the body bags containing them, they won't attack, so this is slow but safe. Another section filled with enemies and Novistadors is completed slowly but safely, the intended way. And that is the bulk of the run completed. The remainder of Chapter 15 is a walking simulator, and the final boss in Chapter 16 is just taken out with a rocket launcher. Boom. Easy. And I pilot the jet ski to victory.
That's time.
Oh, that was a lot. This is by far the longest category I have done for this challenge, and has by far the most to improve on as well. I can shave off at least 30 minutes by just not dying throughout the run. The rest of the time saved would come from rerouting, optimizing movement pathing, and eliminating unnecessary treasures. In my next good run, I eliminated a few early gems since I had too many to begin with, no longer picking up gems or treasures in the valley or the Novistador room in the castle. I made a pretty significant weapon change by selling the Chapter 1 shotgun and replacing it with the riot gun in Chapter 7. My existing treasure route made this barely possible. Purchasing the broken butterfly, stingray, riot gun, and a case upgrade upon entering Chapter 7 is not cheap. The riot gun nearly cut my Chapter 7 times in half by making it more consistent and easier to get through groups of enemies, but I still can't get through this stupid door fast enough. Chapter 10 was improved upon by utilizing a flashbang in the double Garrador room. This clears away the enemies and allows for easier shots on the Garradors themselves. I still need to keep my guard up because not long after the Garradors die, the cultists are back for more blood. This time I managed to escape barely with a sliver of health remaining. I still have yet to crack the depth skip, but its time will come soon enough. I only made one change in Chapter 11. This could be confirmation bias, but I find that staring at the ground makes the Novistadors less prone to attacking you. The riot gun I picked up earlier continues to be incredibly useful during the clock tower elevator sequence. All it takes is one shot to eliminate any enemies that I accidentally let onto the platform, making this significantly safer and faster. In my initial runs, I found out that I ended with way too much money. Some of the cuts came in Chapter 13, where I eliminated the gold bar in the Regenerador section, saving me some health and some time. Chapter 15 is where the big time saves happen. I made sure to have a heavy grenade in hand this time to eliminate the anti-air turrets without much issue. But remember that super painful section after this where I had to open the doors with the 2 switches? I'd never wanted to do that again. And I won't be doing that again. When the anti-air turret is taken out, an autosave is triggered, which is fantastic news because combined with our good friends once again, the rifle and the scope, it is possible to go out of bounds. This is by far the tightest of the out of bounds glitches in the run since I only have about a second to get into position after lobbing the grenade. I also only get one shot at this, no retries. A success here saves almost 10 minutes over my previous methods. At the end of Chapter 15, another skip is done reliant on enemy AI RNG. Standing next to a turret and getting hit by a Novistador chasing from behind pushes me beyond the trigger for the turret, skipping the sequence to move the turret completely. These tactics together brought me down first to a 241, and then shortly after, the 228 shown here. 13 minutes to go. And a big chunk of this can be improved from execution alone in the earlier chapters with existing strategies. In my next PB attempt, I fixed some unfortunate deaths that occurred early on in Chapter 2. Further time save was attained in Chapter 3 with another one-cycle Del Lago, which I was struggling with earlier. This puts me up to 4 minutes ahead at the end of Chapter 3, and a deathless Chapter 7 pushes me to over 11 minutes ahead of PB. The first big mistake happens in Chapter 8, where first I die on the way to the exit of what would have been an incredible split time.
Oh, what? I got Wombo. That would have been a sick gold.
Followed by me forgetting to shoot the door open, since that doesn't save between deaths.
Oh, the door's not... Oh my god.
I was still ahead, but lost almost a minute to these mistakes, and the 215 wasn't looking great. Remember the depth skip I mentioned? Well, this was the run I finally got it. By crouching in front of this hole, flipping the camera to the right, and then pressing F to interact with the tunnel, Leon crawls in the wrong direction on a path that leads him straight out of bounds, saving 40 seconds with optimal movement through the out-of-bounds section to the end of the depths. I maintain pace through Chapter 15, but then something goes horribly wrong. The Novistadors simply don't want to push me through, and I take 2 deaths trying to do the skip before reneging and going back to do it the vanilla way. This skip is RNG dependent and can easily go south. I still complete the run with a massive PB, coming in just a hair over 2 hours and 17 minutes. I am so close to the 215, but this last run is going to be difficult to top. Although there are a handful of areas to save a decent amount of time, I still have to play very well from start to finish, and get lucky with the last Chapter 15 skip. I wanted to give myself a better chance, and found some new tech that I think would finish the job. Enter the infinite ammo glitch. When Leon is hit by a damage source such as a Molotov cocktail fire or the liquid nitrogen vents in Vertigo's area, he does this animation where you can't really do anything until it ends. However, if upon taking damage from this source, you do a weapon swap between 2 weapons twice, Then get damaged again and swap one last time. The game will let you use the initial weapon you had selected, but will look at the ammo from the second weapon. What this means is if I have the rocket launcher and do this trick by swapping to the pistol, I will now have a reloadable rocket launcher with 10 shots per magazine, since the game is using the pistol for the ammo count. This actually isn't infinite, but it sounds a lot cooler than calling it the get a lot of extra rocket launcher ammo by having its ammo source be the pistol instead glitch. Any interaction and most cutscenes break this glitch, so it is only important right around the areas I would want to use a rocket launcher in, and after using it, I keep one in inventory for later. There are only a few days left in the month to get my goal time. Everything I learned would need to come together. Every out of bounds needs to go without a hitch, enemies need to be kind, and luck would need to go my way with item drops.
No fucking way.
Sorry.
Easy game!
That's not gonna work. Oh, we got it. We got it. That was really bad.
Yeah. Now if you'd shut up, we'd be good to go.
Lighten up, cowboy. All right.
Guess we're doing this. Anytime.
The first 6 chapters were rough. I'm behind pace by about a minute, but I will get some of it back thanks to a new item route where I purchase the riot gun and get a bigger case at the end of chapter 6 while doing the merchant out of bounds. This saves me about 10,000 in treasures early game. I implemented another time save that applies to cannons. I found out if I just use the arrow keys on the keyboard, I can move the cannon quickly to reach the targets versus using the mouse, lowering the chance I get destroyed by catapults or the El Gigante. But could I get through the finicky door at the midway point?
Space.
Okay.
That's the first try.
Looks. Get ready. Adios.
All right. Open for traffic.
Chapter 9 erased all of my gains with the Sloppy Night section, but Chapter 10 and 11 is where the magic really has to happen. I needed to activate the infinite rocket launcher and fast.
Let's go.
2 rockets to take out Vertigo, and I still have 1 in my inventory for later. Remember that chainsaw area at the beginning of Chapter 11? There is a conveniently placed Ganado who loves to throw Molotov cocktails at me near the entrance. I shoot to grab his attention.
Looks like we've got company. What do you want to do?
Really? Here we go. Next is a feature of the rocket launcher you may not realize existed. No dynamite needed. Earlier, I lamented about not having a rocket launcher for the double El Gigante fight. And this is why. Just like that, I'm over 3.5 minutes ahead, well on my way to a new PB, but not only that, the sub 2:15 was in reach, and there was not much of the run left that is truly difficult. Shit!
Do anything?
Let's find another way.
This is it, soldier! You're really doing this? It's not...
Please. Please!
Thanks, buddy. All right. Now watch me do my thing.
I think I got stuck. It's okay, it's okay. Holy!
Thanks, buddy.
Come on, come on.
Thanks, buddy. All right. Now watch me do my thing. Bad news. I'm out of ammo. You'll have to handle this one on your own.
Having made it to chapter 15 on pace, I decided to ignore the turret skip and just do this section the slow way, but consistent way. I knew I had enough time to spare and didn't want to mess it up.
Finally, a look that suits you, Sadler. A monster in and out. Still, I need to cut this date short. It's not me. It's you.
Ooh, no expended resources this time.
Okay, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Now we can go home.
We're not out of here yet.
Thanks.
They're nothing now their master's gone. It's over for them. All right. Not bad, Ada. You like thrill rides?
You know, I think I finally figured out the nickname for that guy. You know how I was like, what's his nickname gonna be? His name is Juan. You don't want to know why? It's because he wants one more grab. Haha. Lip. We'll do the twirl. We'll do the twirl. I knew you guys would like it. Yes! Let's heckin' go! 2/11/22. Oh my god, it's dead, it's done. April is done. On April 28th, the goal was met, completing the Resident Evil 4 remake in 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 22 seconds. Thank you so much for joining me on my journey through Resident Evil 4 speedrunning. You can check out the full uncut PB linked in the description. I had so much fun with this category that I plan on continuing it even beyond this month to push my time even lower. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And I will see you all again next month.
Woohoo!